when I was talking about my rape earlier and how that situation set off some triggers in me, that may or may not have been relevant to the entire story that I told on Ask the Trucker initially. I probably would not have gone on to elaborate on the whole situation. It was crazy. I was in the middle of all of this stuff. I was in the middle of trying to come on Twitter and write my student trucker story and adjust to going from a team driver to a solo driver, which is difficult when you've never been taught how to manage your time or logbook. It's a totally different ball of wax from going from team to solo. Plus, I had some other family things going on. I get a text from my son that says Dallas Police Headquarters is trying to get a hold of you through Grandma. And they sent me a phone number to call. And it was that the rape that happened to me 20 years ago was solved. And they wanted to talk to me. It was really strange timing, especially. And if you want to read more about this, there's a post on my Trucker Desiree blog called Texas Bill HB 2932. Here it was 5 years later, and he was still working on it all that time when we had lost touch. And from the time that he sent that swab kit to me, he didn't forget. I was really impressed. I was really impressed. And he said that the statute of limitation hasn't run out to prosecute the guy, but the guy had gotten in trouble again, that he lived in Louisiana. And you know, he was sorry that nothing could be done to prosecute the guy, but he said, we're trying to work on this bill in Texas so that even though the statute of limitations runs out, there would be a identifier in the FBI file of this guy, so that if he ever gets in trouble for stealing a pack of gum, they will think twice before they let him out of jail again. And I was like, okay, you know, I didn't put really two and two together what he was trying to say to me, but I was dumbfounded at the time that he even called me out of all those years, you know. This was in December of 2008. I had just come on Twitter like a month and a half before. And so I wasn't really sure. I didn't plan on talking about it. It was my personal business. I didn't see the relevance. I knew that the nightmares that I was having from that first co-driver were related to that rape. I didn't really see the relevance in getting into that part of it. But to have this sergeant call me with this news at this time when I was revisiting it privately, but I end up having to do that, and that is where the trolls come in. I went, took some home time that 2008 December to Texas, and went to stay with my friend and go to Dallas Police Headquarters. When I came on Twitter, I didn't follow other truckers because the story that I'm telling does not really apply to other truckers that much, because they're already truckers. The this student trucker industry is relatively new in the history of trucking. So a lot of older drivers don't know that it exists to the extent that it does. The best way that I could explain it is there's a lot of jealousy in trucking. I guess you have to think of it as, think of a group of dogs that they all get along really good, they play together, but they don't get fed very much, they don't get fed very often, and then all of a sudden somebody walks into the yard where they've been getting along just perfectly fine and brings one bowl of food, and then they all attack each other and just start almost killing each other to get that one bowl of food. That's a lot of the behavior model that you see in trucking. In 2008, in December, the miles were very, very bad. The economy had just crashed. We didn't even know if our own company was going to stay afloat. It was like everything just stopped. Like everybody was kind of in a panic. You could it was palpable, you know, the way that what's going to happen next. So I took that load down to Houston, and then this person that had been following me on Twitter, he's become known as the king of the trolls. He wanted to meet me. He had been following me on Twitter. This guy was the first person to give a positive review of my student trucker story. You know, in the beginning when I started writing my story, it was actually my daughter who was doing a lot of the tweeting, and she was taking my stuff that I was emailing from my PDA. She was pregnant, and she was putting it and posting it and stuff like that, and she was operating the Twitter tags, and she had a Twitter tag. It's still on there. She hardly ever uses it now, but there's not very many pages of it, and you can actually go back if you have enough wherewithal and you want to go back to see where she was actually talking to this guy. Because he was tweeting us all the time, you know, just all he wanted to do was talk, shoot the shit with us. You know, I thought, why is this guy following me? Like, his bio is like so... I mean, I see what he is. His bio says it all. My daughter was like, oh, he's writing a review about your student trucker story, and she's going, oh, she'll be so happy. And I'm thinking, what does he want? Well, so he wanted to meet me. Well, this is the thing. People like that, it's another no-win situation. If you say you don't want to meet, they go, oh, well, you're afraid. And if you say, well, here I am, the one thing that bothered me about this guy was that he was making some remarks that I thought were offensive. Sometimes he said some things where it was like the conversation was going to deteriorate in the wrong way, and so I just blow it off. I saw him trying to talk to my daughter a lot and asking her for her modeling pictures, and it was freaking me out. I was going, all right, this guy's kind of weird. I don't like him. When he saw that I was coming down to Houston and that I was going to be very close to where he was like, oh, well, why don't you stop by and have some coffee? I would never usually meet anybody that is a man that I don't know, but this guy he's very, he likes to challenge people. and he likes to bully people, and he likes to mouth off to people. But when they mouth off back, he blocks them and he calls them names, and he's got a foul mouth. But he can't take it, you know. So to me, for my background, after you hear what you know, about a little bit about me, I walk right into the face of something like that. This person, I sensed right away, was somebody that, what's he want? I could see that he would pick fights a lot on Twitter, and then he would throw a link out. To me, he was somebody that needed attention. He wanted people to read his blog. He was very interested in getting traffic to his blog, and he would do things that, it didn't matter whether you told him he was an asshole or whether he was an angel, as long as you clicked the link. That seemed to be his strategy. And if it started getting too far where it was getting into his thin skin, then he blocked the people. That's what I saw about him. This was in my first month or so on Twitter. So there he was, going over to Alan and Donna's site and writing this review about my story, very positive. Oh, this is a great read. It's a little bit long, but anybody that's entering should really blah, 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 blah. And I was like, wow, to me, it struck me a little out of character for what I was reading for him. So I'll have to admit, my curiosity was piqued about this person. So I was going to be in the same area too, and I said, all right, I'll meet you for a cup of coffee. This is the kind of person who is a hate monger, a fear monger, he just gets himself so worked up into a lather. It's difficult to understand what is it that he wants. Is he just angry at the whole world for being born, or what? Because a lot of the stuff that he says does not make sense. And I'm not afraid of that. I mean, I come from a family that has irrational fights, so, you know, let's hear it. I got there and I parked the truck, and he said that he's with his wife. It was funny because I wanted to make sure that I got there and parked the truck and then met for coffee in the coffee shop, and I didn't want anybody to know where I parked the truck, because I don't, you know, you got to pay attention to what you're doing. You don't want people following your truck. I don't know this guy. I don't know what his trip is, and I don't know why he wants to meet me. But he's somebody that is not going to go away because he wants attention. So it was kind of like, you know, let's get this over with, sort of thing. So it was funny that he never mentioned his wife before. And I thought, now here's this guy trying to flirt with my daughter and asking her for pictures and trying to, you know, cut up with these women all his time. And all his time he's sitting next to his wife in his truck, tweeting with all these people. I thought, what a dick. Like, if that was my husband and he was on there tweeting with different women when he's sitting 2 feet away from me. Alright, so I meet this guy, and I'm like, get in there, and I know that my story's not for everyone, so it's really weird why he even wanted to meet me in person. But so here we are, and me, him, and his wife, and we're sitting there, and I just said, you know, what's your deal? I mean, what's your thing? Like, I didn't understand what his purpose was. I guess I wanted to know what I didn't want to come out and say, what do you want to know me for? I didn't see that we had anything in common why he would want to meet me, but I was polite. I met him, and he was saying, oh, trucking, you know, back in the olden days, you could just tell your company to fuck off and then call somebody up and he'd grab the phone and he'd just say fuck you and then go to the next, you know? I mean, honestly, people, that didn't sound like reality to me of what is going on in today's world. If you call up your boss and tell him, fuck you, I'm going to work for somebody else, that's not a very good way to leave an employer. And I didn't say that. I just let him go on, and he was telling me about his, you know, he didn't really sound like he had a reason to go on these rants. Like, he just, you know, the person that he is on Twitter is like not even the person that he is in person. And I was like, where's the valid point here? Anyway, so he started talking about his daughter, and he was like, my daughter won't even talk to me. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? Can you believe she won't even talk to me? And I looked at him and I said, yeah, I can believe it. I don't talk to my dad either, and you're just like him. And I looked at him for a really long time, straight in the face, like I'm looking at you right now. Because I don't back down to my dad either. And there's some people that just freaks them out that somebody won't back down to them and cow down to them. And I didn't cow down. And I could tell that pissed him off. We talked a little bit about my story. And it was one thing that this was the first time that I'd actually met real people that had read my story. I hadn't even met Alan and Donna before. And they were like, are you okay? Do you want us to park the truck? Do you need help? Do you want to? I was like, I'm fine. I just drove here from Pennsylvania in a winter storm. I parked it by myself, you know. But it was the first time that I met somebody in person that I saw had been so swept up in the story. It was real new. Now, I wasn't even anywhere close to being finished with it. But I could see that people were getting swept up in the story relatively easily. His wife had not read the story he had, and he's the one who wrote the recommendation for it. But they were very concerned for my safety, and they waited for me in the bathroom, and they wanted to walk me back to the truck. Very sweet, nice, thoughtful. But I was like, wow, they really believe I'm a helpless female. And it was interesting to me that nobody'd really seen me in person before except for him. And they only knew about me from 4 posts, these words that I'd been writing. At the same time, I was trying to write a variation of those posts on women in trucking, and I was just getting attacked over there by these women who were just like, you know, you can't say that. It was like a total denial of fact, and they were just tripping out over there, like, to the extreme. When I see people trip out on things that bad, I'm like, there's more to the story going on over here. No one freaks out that much over something that ain't that big of a deal. So I was curious. I asked him if he had ever heard of women in trucking. He had never even heard of it before. And, you know, we parted ways, and I did know that he was having a really hard time with business. He was working for a company that was flatbed. They had not had a load for a while. They had been sitting for a long time with no load. It was Christmas time. They were living in the truck. His wife was getting ready to go have some medical stuff done. He was going to have to go have some medical stuff done after that. They were in a really bad way, and you could see it in their face. They were stressed out. They were really, and everybody in December 2008, it was just a palpable uncertainty. I left there, and I know people are jealous of me because I'm on a dedicated account. I haven't been driving as long as some of the other people that would like to be on a dedicated account. Here I was on Twitter going, I'm going here, I'm going there, I'm going here, I'm going there. And they're getting a load for 700 miles and sitting for 3 days. That was not my situation. In trucking, it's like people always say, how many miles are you getting? It's real competitive, and a lot of people lie about how much miles they're getting because they don't want to seem like they're getting less than the other person. So a lot of people lie. And in 2008, everybody was struggling. And so here I was saying, I'm going to this one, I'm going to that one. And being on a dedicated account, my stuff's all pre-booked. So I know where I'm going all week long, and I'm rolling, and I'm going and doing whatever. Telling somebody that you're getting a lot of miles is like telling them you just had sex with their wife. Okay, it's not. And it's funny to me that in trucking people do this because it's really not polite. Like if you were at a cocktail party in an executive situation, you just don't go up to people and say, so how much money do you make? What's your annual income? It's very rude to do that, but in trucking, it's almost like the second words people would say out of their mouth would be, so how many miles are you getting? And so here's somebody that's middle-aged, having a hard time, medical problems, and here comes some young girl. I'm going here, I'm going there, I got miles. So yeah, there are people that got really, really jealous right away. I'm getting a visitor up here. Yes, can I help you?